Talking with the Experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or are a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Talking with the Experts.
In episode 492 with Fiona Lucas, we explore creating a community around a small business that should primarily serve the customer's interests.
And I usually start by a bit of a deep dive into their business. We look at all aspects of what they're doing across the whole digital sphere, and start working on what it is they're actually trying to achieve. Because quite often when you're in the mix of, especially for small business, we're so busy just trying to keep the wheels turning, the old duck paddling under the water, that we've kind of lost sight of what we were actually trying to do. And especially when it comes to social media, it's like, oh, I've just got to put something out there, and random content is getting thrown out, and it's like, well, what are you actually trying to achieve? And where are you hoping to go? And I do bring in my accounting skills and things like that, because I like people to set goals and have ideas of where they're trying to take the business. Do they have an exit plan even, So it really depends on what comes out of those initial talks, what it is that we need to do,
Talking with the Experts.
Do you love your podcast and dislike the editing and uploading to the various platforms? Would you like to spend this time with your family and friends or work on your business? Podcast editing doesn't have to be a chore. Talking with the Experts partners with podcasters who need help with audio and content editing. If you'd like to know more, contact me, Rose Davidson, using the link showing now, or send me a private message. Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is all about business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And if you feel inclined, please go over to one of the podcast channels. You'll find it anywhere and hit that follow button, or go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click on the bell so that you get notified each time I upload a new episode. Now, let me ask you, did you know that creating a community around a small business should primarily serve the customer's interests? I mean, I'm pretty sure we're all aware of that. But it needs to answer their why, and as well as our own. It ideally will foster an environment of support, collaboration, and mutual benefit. By engaging in such a community, customers gain a sense of belonging and they find a platform for their voices to be heard. Well, my next guest, Fiona Lucas, is going to be discussing with us the evolution of marketing, and we're going to be diving in a little bit about her chapter in the most amazing marketing book ever that's out on Amazon, or coming out very soon. Now, a little bit about Fiona. She is a dynamic and highly ethical social media and online community strategist. She's a consultant, a speaker, and an author at I Respect Online. With a strong business background and as a small business owner, she has a deep interest in emerging technologies such as AI and the ethics around them. Oh, I love AI. She strongly believes in the strength of community to increase customer loyalty, brand advocacy, increase customer retention, and so much more. Fiona assists businesses to build strong reputations by helping business owners make sense of social media, humanise their brands, and minimise their risks. She uses tailored management strategies that focus on creating effective social media plans building community, and identifying and mitigating potential reputation risks. Wow, that is a lot. Fiona, thank you so much for joining me today. It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, so lovely to have to be here. Thank you, Rose.
Now, we'll get stuck right into everything. Tell me why you started on the path that you're on.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll try to do the shortest version I can. So I'd had a mixed career in a lot of different things. Actually qualified as an accountant, then was working in schools for 16 years. And while I was working in schools, Facebook arrived in the world. And I was watching the destruction of reputations online all around me. So I wrote my first book, which was Future Proof Your Kids, which was a parent's guide to the social media playground. And whilst I was going around to schools talking, doing cyber safety talks and sort of mostly directed at parents and older kids, I started seeing that there was a lot of help required for small businesses too. We're really not used to this sudden two-way thing where suddenly the consumer had a lot more control and was able to post if they were a bit upset or had a complaint, and you would watch small business owners often take it personally and it turns into a bit of a reputational risk situation because they didn't understand just how far their comments could reach by answering that way. So that sort of made me go, I think I need to explore this side of it as well. And that's kind of where I Respect Online came from, was all about, I developed a framework, a reputation management framework, and I started applying that to businesses as well as what I'd been doing. I built it up from what I'd been doing with people. And it's just all based around respect, really, which is that way. My keyword.
Yeah, weren't we all a little bit naive in the beginning of Facebook world? I mean, honestly, we would post our deepest, darkest secrets and upset some family member or some friend or other, and not realizing that they would be able to see it. And, it wasn't like MySpace at all.
No.
It was so much different. And
very different.
You could keep your thoughts private on MySpace, but in Facebook it was like all in or nothing. And my goodness, sometimes my kids would like, Mum, you can't say that. Like, oh, okay, delete.
Well, I mean, there's one thing I do say is that if you do want to say something, you have to own it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So one of my four R's, resilience, is a big one, because it means you have to be able to wear it. So, there are people out there that are very in your face, and that's fine if that's who they are and they own it. But they also then have to have respect to, when we all do, someone's going to have a different opinion to what we have. And it's just about respectful interaction between it, agree to disagree kind of stuff. So you can still absolutely say what you need to say, but not if it's, if you're being insulting or whatever. There's no point for that anyway. That doesn't serve anyone.
There's no point, no. And these trolls that get around, I don't understand their thinking
broken
at all.
People, usually very
absolutely,
broken,
but really, why would they just go around doing that and destroying other people's lives? It can be so mean.
Yeah, what I learnt when I was dealing with kids in that situation was generally there was a lot of abuse, bullying behind that person as well. And so it's a little bit like, well, I'm suffering, so who can I make suffer too? So it's usually, it really is a lot of needing to give grace to walk around it. Some people just want to be stirrers.
Yeah.
And they just want to get their big stick and stir the pot just to see what it does. Maybe they're bored. I'm not sure.
Yeah, could be.
But it is a shame because we've seen some terrible things, and mental health became an issue, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which always has been. There's always been that. And it's a good and bad side, isn't it? The flip to that, because it made us more aware of mental health problems, but at the same time exacerbated them as well. So it's,
we won't go down that track because,
no.
It's still a very touchy subject, and people still don't want to talk about it openly for some odd reason. I don't understand why, but anyway. Tell me about some of your tailored management strategies that you use to help business owners focus on their social media.
Okay, well, being tailored, it really depends on what's going.
Yeah, obviously, but
So when I work with a client, I usually start by a bit of a deep dive into their business. We look at all aspects of what they're doing across the whole digital sphere, and start working on what it is they're actually trying to achieve. Because quite often, when you're in the mix of, especially for small business, we're so busy just trying to keep the wheels turning, the old duck paddling under the water, that we've kind of lost sight of what we were actually trying to do. And especially when it comes to social media, it's like, oh, I've just got to put something out there and random content is getting thrown out. And it's like, well, what are you actually trying to achieve? And where are you hoping to go? And I do bring in my accounting skills and things like that, because I like people to set goals and have ideas of where they're trying to take the business. Do they have an exit plan even, So it really depends on what comes out of those initial talks, what it is that we need to do. If someone is just new, obviously it's all going to be about becoming known, getting the brand out there, whether it's a personal brand or a business brand, and looking at how they both want to fit in. And I think these days, particularly in regards to with AI, with all its amazing things that it does, we are going to want to touch base with humans more and more. And I think it's really important, therefore, for us to have the owners of businesses prepared to be a bit more involved. It's no longer just, you can't be the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain sort of thing anymore. You need to step out and show that you actually take an interest, because that elusive thing of trust within businesses now, there's so much competition. You want people to know who you are. You need to be quite open and honest and prepared to, put your face out there occasionally. It doesn't mean you have to be there all the time, but at least let people know where you stand within a business and what your aims are. What are you wanting to give to people? Because we are asking them for their time when they're digesting our social media, and then we're asking them for their attention further, and then we're hoping that perhaps they'll buy. So, and in the end, we still are, for a business, if you're not selling something, you're going to fail. So you can't deny that part of it. At the same time, there are so many ways that we can make the experience better now for the consumer, and that's where the whole community comes in. And the reason I called that the evolution of marketing in my chapter of the most amazing marketing book ever was because I thought, out of everything else that I'm looking at, and I look, I talk in the metaverse, I love all the other things, right? But at the same time, the one steady thing is that we'll always want human connection. Somewhere along the line, you're going to want to interact, and community gives you that. And if you build it right, you build these amazing advocates for you just because they feel so valued within the ecosystem that you create. And I think one of the biggest things, though, is that you have to have then a goal. What are you trying to achieve with this community? If someone says, I just want them to buy all my stuff, well, then I'll probably say, look, go run an ad campaign first and do some other things, because, it's a long game, community as well. And you don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to start a community and not have a purpose for it. And you can be very open about it. Pop-up groups and things like that can be very valuable for selling a product as well. And sometimes from those you create a bigger community as well, or from a bigger community they come into pop-ups. So it all works different ways. Mm-hmm. But I think the most important thing is to remember that in the end we're in service to our consumers, and they are looking for value, and they're looking for things that answer questions or meet a need that they have. And a lot of people are so busy that in some ways they're lonely or they're disconnected. And so when they find that connection, and if you create a group around, or not so much a group, but a community, an actual community, they start taking the lead anyway, because once you feel valued and confident, it's easier to step in front, start actually interacting. So I think one of the things people say is, they want everyone to be madly doing stuff when they create a community. And I said, well, you've got to show them what's available, and you've got to keep providing content that allows them to have that option, but then you've got to be prepared to let go. Because if you get the reins too tight, then the community members will go, well, what's the point of engaging? Because they shut down everything we say. But within your rules, obviously you don't, want competition promotions in the middle of something you've created. But at the same time, you should be able to have discussions about different things. So
absolutely. Yeah. So how can business owners humanise their brands and, minimise the risks of social media?
Well, that's two big questions. So the humanising is more what I said, coming out in front and making it more about the person, not the product, turning it around, and so that everything that you are doing is like, how is whatever I'm doing serving the people best, and what value will they get out of it? How will it answer their questions? How will it change their lives? How will it solve, most of all, their problems that they have? So when we're talking B2B for business things, it's absolutely no point doing something that in the end you walk away and you go, well, that was fun, I learnt nothing, So you've got to make sure if you're going to create a community that you have, as I said already, put the community members foremost. And you can do that without a community. Whatever you're doing online is allowing that human side to come through all the time. Just keep remembering, okay, it's not about me, the owner, it's about the person who may need my product, my service, whatever it is. So keeping that centric and thinking about all the things that they are dealing with in the midst of us saying, yeah, I'm dealing with family and I'm dealing with business and stress and this, that and the other and aging parents and all the things that we've got going on. So do your consumers, so do your clients and your customers. So we do have to keep remembering that. And by humanising the brand, it's even the way you speak to people rather than doing those bland, a bland advertising, blah, blah. I'm very big on removing a lot of the, I don't like the way some advertising is, that real clickbaity.
Yeah, I don't like them either. No.
FOMO stuff, like short FOMO's real, people get it and you can use it in the right way. But at the same time, some people will just do it. And I don't know, there's something that doesn't feel authentic about some of those kinds of things. And I think you're far better to say, very clearly that you've got this problem and here's how we solve it, and you can be it doesn't have to be bland. It can be using case studies, bringing people in, using, your testimonials, real clients that will come in if they will, speak for you, having interviews, things like that really bring the human element in to whatever you're doing. When it comes to risk, that's a different thing, and that's all across the board, and that's all about your social listening, being really aware and making sure you know what's being said about your own business, about your industry, what's going on that might affect it, and keeping an eye on, if you do get, and sometimes we get people like, there's so many, one of my biggest frustrations with reviews on Facebook is all the spammers that come on to promote crypto or
oh yes, yeah,
and you can report them till the cows come home and Meta AI doesn't pick up anything and thinks it's fine. And I find that very frustrating. I know I've had a spate of them of late, and it's like, why? Yeah. Why do you do this? But, all you can do is if there's something that doesn't seem relevant, answer it. Just put a comment on there. If they're definitely the wrong person, if you can't get rid of it, at least you can show you've answered it. If it is a genuine customer, what you want to do, of course, is get them off there as soon as possible. And if you get a good resolution, they may well go and actually change that, or at least do another one if they can't remove it, depending on the platform. But I think if you're going to look at risk, you have to, before you dive into everything, do a little assessment of where this is heading. I think AI is one of that big areas where that's going to be, is becoming interesting, because I can sort of spot where someone has used ChatGPT and just thrown a very bland prompt in and then taken the auto response from it, and it doesn't flow, it doesn't read that well. When someone's taken a bit more time with their prompts, you can see that it reads better, or it gets harder to tell whether or not AI actually did it. Yeah.
AI can be good in some ways, and yeah, you're right. It's can almost be like cheating, can't it? Because people are just using it and not reading it and not putting their own flavour to it.
Well, I think the risk side of it is that AI makes up stuff. So you need to be reading it and checking, because it will make up a false reference. I've had it do that. If you've said, give me some references, it just makes up something that sounds really valuable or useful, and it gets historical facts wrong. It gets all sorts of things wrong. So you do have to look at that side of it. Now, the other aspect of AI that's brilliant, though, and I think we'll see much improved social listening. I think there'll be tools that really help us to see the sentiment, particularly within our communities. Trying to get return of investment on community is a very hard thing often to sell to a CEO, because it's not something that you can necessarily measure.
See in dollars and cents.
In dollars and cents, depending on where you are and what the community's about, of course. But I think that's one of the areas where AI will definitely allow us to get so much more information that we'll be able to understand more about our audience and what they're really trying to do. So that part of it is really, I think, exciting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, tell me about your chapter in the most amazing marketing book ever.
Okay, so basically the whole book is structured to be, copy of it in my hand here, is structured to make simple, easy to digest. So whether you've been working forever in a business or you're just starting, every aspect of marketing is covered in it, and we've all done it in an easy sort of 10-point section, so that we guide you through what you need to know when you're starting up. So for me, I've just taken you right through, I've got my 10 ideas that walk you through what you need to think about. And the first thing is always the why that I mentioned before. And it's not just why you're creating it. Why would someone want to join your community? You've got to be really clear on the, the goals and the objectives that you're actually setting when you're going to create community. And it is something that you do want to bring into the sphere if you're looking at having some sort of longevity and wanting to build loyalty. It certainly is a way that you can do that. And there's different ways it works. Whether you're a big organisation or a small, it will be different. For small local businesses, it can be building community around a core within a local community. It could be a physical thing as well, like small business owners grouping together to create a community that boosts each other. But you do have to be very clear on the why, and you do want to know what it is that your long-term goal is going to be. You really do want to think about who's going to be managing the community and how it works. So I talk about the sort of things that you need to be able to do in that regard, like really you do want to have a community manager at some point. And a community manager isn't necessarily a social media manager. They're very two different roles, especially when a community becomes bigger. They're not the one, creating pretty graphics for in there. They're the ones watching the sentiment, making sure that, what's being offered in the community is up to date, is engaging, looking at what works, looking at what doesn't work, looking at the community members and making deliberate connections and things like that. So something I love doing is, if I see someone when I'm working in a community and they've talked about something, I try to remember things so that later on, if I see someone else talking about it, I think, oh, that's brilliant. Frank would love to meet George because they're both looking for things that each other can help. So if you can bring people together so that they can, you enable them to address another need they had, well, of course, then that makes them really impressed as well, because it's like, oh, that's so cool. I'm getting networking here. I'm getting all these sort of things as well. So you want people to have a robust experience. So basically, it's just about 10 steps to walk through what you need to do in order to set up a community, what you want to put in place, and what you want to be aware of in regards to the outcomes at the end of it and the amount of work that you will put into it. And it is, as I said, a long game. It's not something you can just go, oh, there it is and it's done. You do need to look at how long it's going to take you is first gently bringing people in. That can take a while. They've got to come in and find something that they like. Now, if you get it going well at the start with lots of good content, then they're more likely to tell other people about it and say, hey, I'm in this really cool community. You know, for example, the whole story around the most amazing marketing book ever is that we came together as a community around Mark Schaefer to learn about Web3, the metaverse, cryptocurrency. And in that, all these people with different expertise ended up basically in the same virtual room, as you would put it, in the community. And it was one of the writers, Dan Nestle, came up and he said, you know what, we could like write a book because we've all got, we cover everything here. And we went, yay. Let's do it. And we all wrote it ourselves. We didn't use AI, although the cover we did use AI to generate the cover, which is one of the other writers. Frank did that, which looks really amazing. But, you know, that kind of collaboration. And from that, you know, what we get out of that is so much value in our own learning all the time. So I think that's really, really important. And the other thing when you're creating community is you've got to think about the type of members that you are wanting to bring in and making sure that you do set up some rules and structure around it, because if you let it go too loose or too tight, it can mess things up. Obviously, too loose can mean everyone just posts anything and you get spammers and you get all sorts of stuff going on and people just get turned off. Too tight is when you've got the owner of the community going, you can learn this and you can learn that and I'm going to tell you this, and there's not really much two ways. So it's not really a community. It's more they're just addressing an audience.
I belong to a podcast promotion group, and you often, you know, put your link to your Apple podcast or blah, blah. Next thing you're getting a DM saying, oh, you know, let me promote your podcast. And I think, you know, it's just a way to get them clients. And I think it's, I got sucked into it a couple of times and I thought, no, I'm not doing it anymore. As much as I want to promote my podcast, I don't want these, you know, VAs coming in and saying, you know, let me promote your podcast for X amount of dollars. I mean, I don't know if they're genuine or they're not genuine. And in my mind, those people that are in the group are supposed to have a podcast to promote themselves. They're not supposed to be VAs or you know, people from Fiverr or Upwork or whatever looking for work.
So by rights, they should have good community management going on that's sort of looking at what's going on and helping to either eliminate that or put some rules around what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate. I mean, the members only know what they know, and people try to get away with whatever they can.
Absolutely.
One of the best things you can do in the community, and which I also talk about, is when it comes to like ambassadors and having people that are helping to promote your community, is not bringing in like external people, but looking within the community itself and look who's more engaged, who gets more active, who can you celebrate and sort of say, hey, I love what you're doing, love how engaged you are in the community. Would you like this role, or would you like to take on that? Perhaps you'd even you might give them like a day where they might do a live video, they might do, you know, take control of some aspect, and you give them a little bit more say within it. Again, obviously you've got your rules and regulations around how much they can do, but I think being prepared to take the reins over and let people have more control and more say, they get more value out of it that way, and that feeling of being valued, the trust factor goes up massively, and that loyalty comes into play because, you know, when you feel valued, you're more likely to hang around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always very careful to read the about the group section before I join. Even if I've been invited, I will still read the about section just to say that it's a good fit for me, rather than reading the post that, you know, that you're allowed to see before you join. And to me, it tells me, you know, whether I can post and, you know, whether they allow me to promote stuff and whatever. And if they don't, well, then there's not much point me being there because, you know, I want to promote a course or I want to promote a podcast or do whatever. So, I mean, some of them are a good fit and others aren't. But I think you've got to be really mindful of when you build your community that you make the about section very clear about what the group is about or what the community is about, and so that you're not getting these spammers and you're not getting people that aren't a good fit and just lurk around and read everyone else's posts and don't engage. And, because it's not all about the numbers. Numbers are just an ego thing to me.
That's right. It's more about the engagement's important, but I also do talk about your lurkers, and that is that quite often lurkers are just introverts and they are sucking in information and actually going away and telling other people about your group. So you still love the lurkers, right?
I'm not saying not, but I'm just saying that, you get these lurkers that are just there to get the information and they don't contribute to the group. And I think can be a bad thing. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think it's, I want people that are in my group to be engaged, whether I've got 5 members or I've got 500 members. Exactly. But it's really the number that you have in your group. You want each person to be engaged, not just a handful that are giving value to the group. That's just how I view having a group and a community. I think I'd rather everyone be engaged.
Yeah, look, you rarely get everyone. There's always some, and people are busy, but if you see that, you can tell. It depends what type of group it is too, because like Facebook groups, for example, are very typically run a day for promotion, this, that, and the other. But we're seeing a lot more communities that are on Slack, on Discord, on other, on other platforms and apps and things like that. And so therefore that is different because it's not where you're really getting to promo. It's more.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
More the networking kind of people meeting, sharing knowledge. And so that community might be a learning community to learn about a certain thing. And that's the benefit for particularly startups to have a community, is that they get feedback about what people want in that industry. So a community can be about an industry, not necessarily your brand.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was probably just talking about Facebook. I wasn't talking about all the others, where I get your point that yes, all these other communities are more for learning and for networking. And I get that. So you can have the lurkers in there. They're fine because, it's a learning place. But Facebook to me is more of a, that's what Facebook is. It's a social network. And, I would expect my members to be social.
Yeah. Well, and you've got to also be, if it's not working or you've got people that aren't making it work, to offer them to leave or sometimes you have to be tough enough to actually remove people. I mean, it's as simple as that, and that part can be hard for people to do, but it's like if you've got someone that's constantly being disruptive, disrespectful of the rules, doesn't want to fit in and isn't really giving value to anyone else, then there are times when you actually have to say, look, here's a warning. I'm sorry if you continue to do that. We would really love to see you. Give them a positive, the love sandwich. Try to give them something that you can say, look, we can see that you can do this. We'd love to hear about that. How about you, jump into this stream and offer us, some what your views or something like that. But if you know that they're going to be really negative, you see it's a risk to your whole community because, you don't want to upset a beautiful nurtured
group. No, you don't.
Just because of allowing one person to keep going crazily off on a tangent of their own. But we always have to be mindful because again, I look at thinking, well, why is that person doing that? What can you offer? Maybe because it could be that they might turn out that they need a service that you could then refer them off to a different group or something where I think maybe you need some help in this area, and I know of this group that might be good for you, or give them some sort of don't just sort of be going, oh, we don't like you, you're out. Occasionally that does happen. We don't like what you're doing, so you're out. But where possible, it's all about trying to find a way that it's
a win-win, isn't it? You're trying to find so that everyone's happy at the end, so there's no hard feelings.
And humans are humans. We're tricky little beasts, aren't we?
Of course we are. Yeah, I'm running a virtual expo in September, and I've made the rules really strict that, no spamming, no bad behaviour.
And sometimes you have to define exactly what you call spamming.
Yes.
Because people can be cheeky too, it's where they're saying, oh, but, if they're sharing a link because, but it talks about that subject, but it's actually a link to, something that they're promoting or that they get an affiliate off or those sort of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you do have to try to, be very clear if you don't want that kind of the clearer it is, and getting people to agree to that to join is really important.
Absolutely.
I know there's a community that I run, and so often people haven't bothered to answer the questions, and if they don't bother to answer the questions, I think,
I don't let them in.
No, you're not coming in, because it's like, well, it's not that hard to say yes, you would abide by that, and if you don't want to abide by that, well, it's telling me that
I agree. I totally agree.
But, I mean, we have to embrace the complexity of humans in all their ways, don't we,
Fiona, tell me where we can find your book.
Okay, so the book's on Amazon now. You can get on Amazon whether you're in the States or UK or Australia. The Kindle is out. I think Kindle's still on special for it's about $4 Australian, $2.99 US. I think it is till about the 2nd of June. And so you can get that Kindle version, or you can order the hard copy version, which is, I'm trying to think what it's
not out till the 2nd of June, is it? The hard copy?
The official launch of the hard copy is the 8th.
The 8th, that's right, yeah.
To get hold of it, I ordered it, so it's in my hand. So you actually can order it in advance. That's just Amazon doing that. And we thought, okay, thank you. And we would love people to read it. We'd love your reviews, because
it's already number one. It already made it number one. It's already, and it's not even released yet, like not even officially launched.
It did. It made number one new release. But I'm not sure how long that stays for. And it was coming up under a couple of different categories. So we're loving to see that. But obviously, we want people to read it. We want reviews. We want to know why. We're all keen to write the next volume, where we'll go next. So, which will probably go deeper into metaverse and Web3 and things like that, I would dare say. We tap on it in here, but not, it's not deep, because this is a handbook designed to help, guide you through everything you need to know, whether it's email marketing or even good old-fashioned marketing is in here as well, and SEO, which we know all the things change, but we've tried to write it in a way that the sense of it will always be there.
Yeah. The SEO, the algorithms change, but the principle behind it's the same.
Yeah, the biggest change is going to be that if the whole way the search engines are going by with AI coming into it. I think that's the difference. So, it's going to be an interesting ride, but that's one thing, is that when we're faced with challenges, humans get more creative. So
absolutely,
we'll find a way.
Now, Fiona, where can people find you if they want to work with you, or they want to find out more about what you have to offer?
Yeah. Well, my personal branding page is feelucas.online. And then you also find me at I Respect Online. And I'm I Respect Online on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, as well as Fee Lucas on Facebook. And we won't talk about my TikTok because I've got one, but it's
oh no, I don't like TikTok. I just
it's not that I don't like it, it's just that I haven't yet found where it fits for me.
Yeah, I think probably pretty much the same for me.
I've seen some amazing things done. I think if you're particularly in the health sector, mental health, things like that, there's some amazing people doing incredible jobs that are really, especially relating to teens and things like that. But then they've got their own challenges where they're banned in certain areas and whatnot as well. So
you've got a product or service. It's the TMAMBE-front-cover-only-no-bleed.
Oh, that's a weird thing that's come up. That should have been.
That's probably the marketing book.
Yeah, but that sounds like it's just a cover, so I don't know what link.
That's the link I have.
Ooh. Interesting.
I'll upload a link to where there's near. So it's the feelucas.com.au/amazing-book/.
Okay.
So there's so you've given me the cover and the link. So there you go.
There you go. Sorry about that.
So if you want a copy of Fiona's book, then just click on the link in the show notes and you can go and grab a copy and read all about amazing marketing and everything that you need to know about business.
Exactly. It's here to help.
Lovely, Fiona. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you were to give some words of wisdom to somebody, what might they be?
Oh, words of wisdom. Let me think. Don't panic about numbers. Never panic about numbers when you're in business on social media. Just the biggest thing you can do is plan, set goals so that you can align your strategy towards meeting those goals, because it gives you something to measure. And measurement is everything when it comes to social media. I think that's probably a good bit of advice.
It is a good bit of advice. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
I really appreciated your time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.